everybody, Jacob Licklider here. Day late, and middle of the night, because, that's how my life is. And I just finished watching Revolution of the Daleks, the New Year special. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to just make sure everyone understands that because in 2019, YouTube was caught data mining the information of underage users, therefore violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or CAPA, by the implemented new policy. To dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators, meaning I have to ensure that everyone understands that this video is not meant for children. It's not targeted towards kids, it is not advertised towards kids. Doctor is a family show that kids can watch, but this video, as with all the videos on my channel, are coming at the show from an adult perspective, so viewer discretion is advised. There will also be probably spoilers for Revolution of the Daleks here, because, yeah. Revolution of the Daleks. So there is... This is the first episode since The Timeless Children. Now, The Timeless Children wasn't good. And there are a lot of things in this episode that I think... A lot of things work and a lot of things don't. The episode's a bit of a mess. Structurally, Chris Chibnall has this problem where he wants to set something up, but he never actually explores it. The end of the Time Children set up the Doctor in prison. Revolution of the Daleks didn't really explore that much. There were scenes at the beginning that were good with the Doctor in prison, but within 20 minutes she was out of prison, which I don't think works well for this episode. At least not for the protagonist. It makes the Doctor goes to prison feel like just a tease of a storyline. Didn't actually do anything. I do like the idea that she's been in there for a long while, and I mean, I guess it makes a gap. But I mean, really, it doesn't. Because the rest of the episode does try to play around with the emotions of the Doctor in prison, and the revelations of the Timeless Children are mentioned, even if it's not addressed really that great. There's a lot of big issues here, mainly because, the Timeless Children, it's clearly still affecting the Doctor, but because this is meant to be, this isn't actually meant to continue that, this is meant to be a different story. Chibnall keeps bringing it up, but doesn't actually go anywhere. It's just more of, remember that this is a thing that's happening. And I mean, it gets brought up quite a few times. I would also say the first 20 minutes or so of the episode are the roughest, probably some of the roughest bits, mainly because Chibnall has this tendency to overwrite his dialogue, and that's a big problem. He uses a lot of exposition. For example, the whole premise of this is that the recon out from Resolution, which I didn't talk about. I never did a video on Resolution. Quick thoughts on Resolution. It was okay. Ryan's dad stuff was annoying. The rest of it was fine. But the problem here is that the recon Dalek, salvage parked by Jack Roberts and Company, aka the dude from Arachnids in the UK, played by Chris Nuth, the fake Trump guy, and I'll talk about him. He requisitions the parts, and they basically, get, put, they're put into security drones that don't have actual Daleks in them. They're just drones. Here's the thing. The audience is revealed to that before the companions do, and you have Yaz, Graham, and Ryan kind of invest, like, the idea that they are investigating ways. Yaz in particular is trying to find the Doctor. Graham and Ryan, it's implied that they're looking at other cases. I wish of aliens. I wish we would have seen that, like, at least a little bit. And again, that first 20 minutes, we don't need the 20 minutes of Chris Nuff's character making deals with the to-be prime minister and seeing how it happened. That could have been done. That could have been done all through just the little bit of exposition, and make the phone footage be what we saw. Until that's it, we don't quite know what they're doing, because a lot of the tension is built up on the fact that the characters think that the Daleks have them inside, the actual mutants inside of them, and they don't. And they do the same thing again, where a lot of this turns into a sort of a Daleks' greatest hit, particularly Power of the Daleks and Revelation of the Daleks and Remembrance of the Daleks, and that's fine. It's not amazing, but it's effective enough for the story, and it does something cool. And I think the whole revolution was supposed to be because they would revolutionize security, but that angle wasn't really played up more. Again, that's just one thing where it doesn't quite work. Again, a lot of this episode is better than Resolution, and I thought Resolution was okay. This is a decent episode, but it is heavily flawed. There are a bunch of problems. For instance, it's what this story, it's what the story does that it doesn't. It's never like, okay, we're done here. But yeah. I like it. We move on to something so. We move on from the Doctor being in prison, and we have a lot of things where it's like, okay, we know it's a Dalek. The audience knows. We don't need so many things explaining. We just need to see a couple of things, we could easily have. I think the Doctor shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't have seen the Doctor in prison. That maybe should have been done in flashback. Had her show up after in the TARDIS after Jack got her out, and shortened that sequence a bit. Because then you could actually use the prison bits and how it affected her later in Series 13, like they might. Because outside of that, the prison feels really, really pointless. And that's just a big issue, is that prison sequence feels so pointless. There are, you think we could be doing something different and cool, but we don't. It's a very different sort of thing because of that. And again, the same thing is when it's revealed that, basically Power of the Daleks has been happening. They reveal to the audience before they reveal to the companions. Make that be with the companions, like, give us that reveal. Make us see, okay, this is a different thing. This isn't something different. But yeah, it's not knowing how to reveal itself. Now there are some good things here. I like the way that Chris Nuss's character was used until the end. Then he sort of kind of betrayed them, but you didn't, like. You could have just had, when the TARDIS materialize, the Daleks that show up, because they do the whole revelation thing of calling Daleks to fight the other Daleks, and that's fine. it's nothing we haven't seen before. It's nothing new, but it's at least a little more enjoyable than some other stuff. Um, but yeah, the plot is a bit of a mess. I enjoy the Dalek stuff. It's nice, actiony popcorn stuff. It's well written. It's well written Dalek plotting. Again, it draws from some of the best Dalek stories. I do wish it kind of did something new, but this is, I guess, okay. I will say I really did enjoy Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. She did a lot of subtle things here to show that the Doctor perhaps wasn't okay, and a couple of not so subtle things. And I really did like the last 10 minutes or so where Ryan and Graham leave, and Tosin Cole really did a good job here too. He had a lot of stuff. We kind of bookended with like a nice reflection on the first scene in Women to Fell to Earth on that hill. And I kind of like how Ryan didn't seem to beat his dyspraxia, which I think is actually a good choice, because with a disability you don't always beat your disability. But they're both thrown to like the Graham and Ryan spin-off with Psychic Paper. Yaz is staying on. Amanda Gill was fine. As always, she's a good actress, and I like her chemistry with the other performers. But Tribunal tried to give Yaz something to do, but I don't think that actually worked. At least not as well as they thought it did. I will. I will say there could have been a lot more, a lot better, and a lot of different things could have been implemented here to make it work. Again, dropping Chris Noth's character at the end until the very end, and then have him take credit for the saving the world at the end could have actually worked better. Again, Chibnall needs to understand that, especially in a story, because this was 70 minutes long, which actually gave quite a lot of things room to breathe. The story didn't feel as cluttered outside of the prison drama stuff. That was a mess. That needed something different. But yeah. I'll also say John Barrowman back as Jack. I liked him. He kind of served a purpose. I kind of wish they had him maybe blow up with thing, though. Referencing Torchwood, which is fine. They do. Perhaps he was a bit too fan servicey, but John Barrowman is never not enjoyable, and he at least interacted with the main plot more, and sort of took the role of a companion, even if he did, And so, John Barrowman is always good to watch. And Sagan Akinola, has I loved a lot of Akinola's music. There were some leitmotifs taken, I think they were taken from Gold for the Daleks, from Murray Gold, which is just great. A great use of that leitmotif, but also some really nice other subtle pieces of music that I think just work really, really well. And of course, Lee Haven Jones's direction was a treat. I believe he directed Spyfall. I know he directed stuff for Series 12, and Series 12 looked great. Also, maybe the editing, I will say, one minor complaint would be the bit of the little bit of the overuse of title cards of here where we are again. It was kind of a problem in Spyfall, and it's kind of a problem here. It's also not consistent here, which is very weird. But yeah, that was a solid episode. I enjoyed it. I'd probably give it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6.5. It's a mess in places, but it was overall, I think, solid enough.